Greetings, lovely people, and welcome to Fast Track Falls. Today we're going to be talking about the newest episode, the Easter special of Doctor Who, Legend of the Sea Devils. So, of course, spoilers ahead for that episode, though I'm going to be quite honest before we get into the actual spoilers. There isn't really that much that I even took from this episode to spoil, so in any case, probably best that you watch it before watching this video. But roll that intro and let's just get into it.
Let's watch the rain as it's falling down.
So once again, we have a setup of the TARDIS just landing somewhere that's, somewhat important in history. Running into, I'm just recapping the entire episode right now. Running into a famous historical figure, just that the Doctor just knows, and the Doctor is able to just be like, oh, it's this person from history, they did this. It's one of those sorts of episodes. The villain, the monster, whatever, is a returning villain that is not treated like its previous incarnations, and they actually do point that out in the episode, but still. And on top of that, it's kind of just redundant in the story. This didn't have to be a Sea Devil story. This could have been basically any other species. This could have been a Silurians episode. And I know Silurians and Sea Devils are basically the same thing, but this could have been a Silurians episode, and I would not have batted an eye. It's just... right. So, of course, coming off of whatever the hell the New Year's special was called, obviously we have some romantic tensions between the Doctor and Yaz. I was promised a gay moment in this episode. I'm very disappointed that didn't happen. There was, a little bit of a cutesy discussion that was really badly written towards the end of the episode, but even then, it's very obviously want us to, support Phasmin, which is the ship name for the Doctor and Yasmin Khan. I think it's a terrible name personally, but whatever. But in any case, if they really want us to care about this coupling, they need to actually give us moments where they're actually doing more than just staring at each other. Because, even if, they could do it so many different ways, and they're just failing to do anything, because they don't have them, flirt or be cutesy with each other, really. They just kind of generally stare at each other, and then say about how much they like and enjoy spending time with each other. Which, I mean, fair enough, that's fine. I'm not saying that, there had to be a kiss or whatever, or anything like that, but just some level of just, this is not just a close friendship, you know what I mean? This is legitimately, it's a stereotype within, gay fiction especially, where you go, and they were just friends, and they were, roommates, there's a lot of memes about it. But legitimately, the Doctor and Yaz are very clearly just friends, but the story is forcing them together, and obviously in the New Year special, Yaz, told Dan, Dan, that she liked the Doctor. I'm pretty sure the Doctor also said it to Dan that was the case. Honestly, this series, or this entire era of the show, has kind of just melted my brain, so I don't really remember much. But yeah, my main takeaway from this episode is just how pointless this entire love interest thing is. And I stand by with what I said, I think, during Flux, of, realistically, they could have just not had Dan, and actually had the more time spent between the Doctor and Yaz, because this episode does actually do a decent job of putting Yaz and the Doctor together, removing Dan from the equation. Dan's doing other things. The Doctor straight up just gives up on it. She's just like, oh yeah, he's wandered off, I'm just going to leave him. That's literally, not verbatim, but that is basically just a line she says. Oh, this episode's a mess. So, I'm not going to be able to give, any names, but the long and short of it, of the synopsis, is we have the Pirate Queen from history, the historical character of this episode, is trying to find some treasure that belonged to another historical pirate, I assume. I assume it's a historical pirate because they mention events that, aren't specific enough to be Doctor Who events, but aren't vague enough to be, completely made, I don't know. It was clearly, a bunch of historical events to do with pirates that just I don't know. And so this pirate queen breaks a statue of a sea devil to get this gemstone out of it or something. I don't really know. And it knocks her out. The sea devil then goes on to kill like a town full of people, and then summon a flying pirate ship full of other sea devils. Then the Doctor turns up, and I guess Dan and the son of one of the people that the Sea Devil killed just decide they're going to join the Pirate Queen, while the Doctor and Yaz travel through time to find the treasure that the Pirate Queen wanted, so that she'll be on their side. And then they find out that the pirate treasure that they're looking for has a relation with the Sea Devil that they're, trying to defeat and stuff. And there's a sea monster, and there's a major plot about, like, flooding the earth, and it's a mess, quite honestly. This entire episode is just a mess, and I don't get why it had to be, because I think I even said at the New Year special, in that thoughts video, I was looking forward to this, because Chibnall, the only thing that I think he's actually done well is bring back the Silurians. He brought them back in, I don't remember what the episodes are called, but it's the two-parter with Matt Smith, of his, I think it's his first season as well, like, a series or whatever. So, like, clearly Chibnall knows how to write the Silurians and by extension Sea Devils, because they are written very similarly in all formations. It's just the Sea Devils are typically the good guys and the Silurians are the bad guys. That's their relationship. Like, Silurians are typically more relatable to humans because they're land dwellers. They're reptilian, sure, but they're still, like, way more humanoid. They're able to speak, all that kind of stuff. Whereas Sea Devils are a bit more monstrous. They're fishers. They can't actually speak. They have to speak using little crystals and stuff. Like, that's all interesting. And they're usually actually the good guys. And they help humanity. And they're, like, pro-humanity. And they, they're not trying to destroy the world because they think, oh, there's enough ocean for us. We're fine. Just leave us be. Just don't destroy our ecosystem and we'll just leave you be. That's kind of their perspective. This episode just kind of flips that. And it kind of goes with an issue that a lot of people have with the current run under Chibnall, is that every villain, or rather, every alien species, should I say, is always the bad guy, regardless of what they're actually doing. Humans are always good, aliens are always bad. Unless it's the token racist character or the token Trump stand-in. Like, otherwise, aliens bad, always. And it becomes such an issue when you're taking, like, fair enough, monsters from Doctor Who's past. They are monsters. They're not like allies, really. They're just the creatures that exist in the Doctor universe that have typically been friendly or at least neutral towards humanity and the Doctor, and suddenly making them a major threat to the entire world. It's like, that's a jump in logic that doesn't really make sense. It would be like suddenly making the Cybermen good guys, suddenly making them, and I know, like, in the comics and in the extended, like, books and stuff, I know that the Cybermen eventually become, like, this very neutral, like, council sort of thing at the end of time, but, like, you know what I mean. Take the current type of Cybermen that are all, like, destroying the universe. They're basically Daleks, actually. I should probably use Daleks. But take them, and then just have an episode where randomly they're just good guys. No explanation. We've seen it with Daleks, where we've had a Dalek that's, like, over the course of an episode. Daleks takes a good example of this from Daleks in Manhattan, and Evolution of the Daleks, for that matter, of just having a villain faction that is so undeserving of, like, being forgiven, and then they learn humanity, or they learn other features that are seen as positive, and then suddenly the Doctor's like, okay, if you can change, that means everyone can change. I will try and help. Whereas, with the Chibnall era, it's basically a case of, no, if you're alien, you're bad. Like, regardless of anything, you are just, you are just inevitably going to do something that is harmful, that is damaging, and the Doctor either preemptively just decides to murder the alien species, regardless of whether they've done anything wrong, or they are just randomly evil, like from the start. Like the Doctor is supposed to be this beacon of hope, of kindness and stuff, and throughout the Chibnall era, we've just seen the Doctor just be right to be prejudiced towards everything she comes across at all times, even when she's wrong. And that's the thing, like, it's such a mess. Honestly, the highlight of this episode was just the fight scenes, but even those, the sets have taken a huge downgrade in this episode. I don't know what's happened, but honestly, Doctor Who is usually more grand than your average adventure show from BBC. There's plenty of CBBC and even BBC, like, adventure shows. There's plenty of them. And, they usually have a bit of a lower quality than what you'd really want for that kind of show. But Doctor Who has always stood out to me as having really good effects. Their sets are great. The lighting is generally really good. Cinematography is often excellent, honestly. This episode dropped the ball so hard, and all I can think is that people have quit. Because something that I said about Flux and the New Year specials as well is that at the very least they look good and they sound good. The story was terrible, but everything, like, technically they are great pieces of television. They look great, they sound great, the cinematography is on point, like all that kind of thing is great. I love that. The visuals are always phenomenal and the sound is always phenomenal. This episode sounds like it was just filmed on a set and then nothing was done to it. Like, I'm not saying there's like reverb or anything in the audio, because there isn't. It's clean. It's been cleaned up clearly, but it just doesn't feel like it has a budget. It feels like, especially with the boat that they use, the main ship that they use, it very much feels like they just found a boat set, just a generic boat set somewhere, and we're like, this is good enough. Didn't dress it up or anything. Then it's lit as if it's a, American soap opera. It's just really bright. It's really saturated, which is not a good look. Then there's smoke machines, but it's still so bright. And even like the CGI in this episode, the CGI is fine actually. I can't complain too heavily. It's mostly only used for the sea monster, and that thing we don't see too much of, so it's fine. It is what it is. But yeah, I struggle usually not to have something to praise about these episodes. But honestly, I just don't know. I don't have anything. I'm racking my brain right now. There was nothing. There was nothing in this episode. It failed on every account. It didn't treat the Sea Devils with the respect I think they should get. It wasn't a good Sea Devil story. It could have been so many other Monster of the Weeks. It didn't have to be a returning monster for this storyline. They could have introduced a brand new... They could have brought back Tim Shaw for all I care to do this storyline. The Stenza could have been the bad guy in this. It wouldn't have made a difference. I don't know. I say this every time that I'm just done with Doctor Who, and I just can't wait for Chibnall to be gone and Jodie to be gone. And as I always say, I have nothing against Jodie Whittaker, like as a person, as an actress. I'm fine with her. Like, I like her in Broadchurch, as I have to keep reminding myself, because like I can't stand her as the Doctor. But I don't think it's her fault. I think it's purely Chibnall. But yeah. I think on that note, I know this is more of a rant than thoughts, but there's not really anything to talk about. This is such a nothing episode. The Sea Devils do look good. It's a good update. It doesn't stray too far from the original design. I quite appreciate how they've done it. It's kind of better than the Silurians in a way, because the Silurians were such a departure. It's a modernization with the Silurians, whereas this is more of a throwback sort of thing. But yeah. I think for this era, and we've only got one episode left this era, the Centenary, which, you know, Ace is coming back for that, so that's going to be great. I love Ace. Ace is my favourite companion. But the only thing I can truly say they've done a good job of is returning villains. But I can't say that about the Sea Devils. Everything else they've brought back has at least been treated with some level of respect. Whether that be the Weeping Angels, whether that be the Jadoon, whether that be the Sontarans. The Sontarans even got a classic makeover. Like, the Daleks and the Cybermen have been good. Like, I've enjoyed them. Like, but yeah, no. The Sea Devils was the one thing I wanted Chibnall to do. It was the one alien species that I wanted him to bring back, and he disappointed me. So yeah, that's going to be it for this video. If you liked it, or agreed, or whatever, make sure to like it, subscribe if you're around here, and ring that bell so you never miss an upload, and tell me in the comments below what you thought of this episode. Do you agree with me? Do you think I'm being overly harsh? Do you think this was actually one of the better episodes? Because from the consensus I've seen, people seem to just be very meh on it. And quite honestly, I think that's how I am overall. As much as I've ranted, I think I'm just meh. But yeah, that's going to be it for this video. I need to get back onto Moon Knight. I have watched the newest episodes. There's also trailers that I need to react to still, and there's so much. There's so much to do on this channel. I'm very busy with uni right now. But yeah, hope to see you next time, and yeah, bye.
It's been a long week. I feel like I could use a vacation. I can hardly think. It's like the worst song you've